Okay, so let's begin. We'll be playing today some Omaha cash here with the 4 tables. And we have two PLO10-25 on the left and 2 PLO10 on the right. Let's see what sort of situations pops up. Okay, now I can see if someone happens to comment. Well, yeah, as previously, we are basically learning the game. Or well, learning should never end, but still not much experience from the game yet, so any action can be questioned, let's put that way, or almost any. Well, top right, I'm going to be defending if the small blind doesn't 3-bet. Still a pretty good hand overall, but we don't really get much. Oh, I think we have to fold that one. And one thing I think probably tend to do too much is the calling part, at least out of the big blind. And total garbage at the top left, but we got the free flops, so bottom left, I would think that hand is somewhat decent. Oh, I don't know if I want to 3-bet it, because it can still be somewhat dominated hand by the better Broadway stuff overall. But in here we have top pair, open ender, backdoor flush draw, so I think we can argue about just raising. Or, well, just take the ball. Maybe that's a safer option. But yeah, we definitely have to call the turn as well if we take the calling line. We don't improve, unfortunately. And he fires the third barrel, so there was no flush draw on the turn either. And we block the straight draws quite heavily, so that's probably Probably not the greatest hand to be bluff catching. But yeah, I think if we do raise the flop, we are. Well, I suppose it's kind of ugly if we will in 3 bets on the flop. I'm not sure about the pre-flop either. 3 betting might be the best way still. Is Jack 8 deuce. Well, I think when we have the ace jack part, we can probably open from the cutoff. That is. I will aim at half pot here. I'm not too happy about the spots, but I suppose I have to call. And probably. Well, there is some argument in betting, I suppose, just to deny some equity from the draws if possible. Of course, he might sometimes be trapping it here, but we do have the Jack X blocking somewhat of those Jack 10 type of hands and pocket jacks. Well, table 1, we are going to just raise the small blind limp. And we flop the top 2 backdoor, some backdoor draw. No action. We only have a bottom pair and Jack high flush draw on the bottom right. Well, now we have 2 pairs, but Queen 10 also complete, so. And here can obviously be better 2 pairs. 2 pairs as well, so it's just check fold. Check fold hand and quite miracle if the Jack 5 is best here. Yeah, he had the straight. Will then has second nuts here, so I would imagine that he should be really value betting it. Only have 1 player behind who's probably never going to be bluffing anyway, or pretty much never. We don't really, it's really unlikely that 2 players checking on the river are going to be check raising, so least I would be happily betting that. Once again, triple trips on the hand. That's not a good hand. Surprisingly. Well, cheap price on the top right before the 3-bet, but we only had the, well, really crappy hand. Flop would have been pretty nice too. But yeah, doesn't mean that we should be playing everything in hopes that we happen to hit something like that. He's king 5-7, bottom left we have 3 of the hearts, but I think it's still fine to open. When it suited to ace. But 2 colors we don't really hit anything, so just check fold. Now we have the gutshot, but not enough. And we would have nuts on the river. Or second nuts actually, not the nuts. Well, that and ace queen we can defend on the bottom left if there's no 3-bet. And I think we want to just check raise the ace queen, probably though the board is extremely dry. At the same time, what I often see in Omaha, at least so far, has been that people are rarely going to be barrel in these situations anyway, so even if we just check call, they are often going to be just checking. And it's still fairly dry flop sport, so I size it a little smaller. And of course, something like that comes, but we actually get the nuts with the 10, so it's actually a pretty great looking situation. Now we basically hope that he has the flush. I think we want to size it pretty big here. Maybe even potting would be totally fine. And bottom top right we have second mid set with blocking the top set and gutshot, so I suppose we are happy to raise it here. So yeah, I would imagine that flatting these on the upper right could be reasonable, but might be losing play in the long run as well. I mean, I'm never flatting like dry jacks, but we have decent sort of connectivity, 9-7 and single shoot. Well, pretty nice looking queens on the upper left. I think even 3-betting this could be reasonable if the bottom opens. No, we don't really want to face the 4-bet, and we flop the French nuts. And we have SPR 5, well, 4, 5. Wondering if I want to just pot for a little bit smaller because we are over SPR 4. But it's still not really like super dry by any means. There are definitely wraps we lane could have that has a lot of equity still. Bottom right, middle pair or paired flop, we have bet queens, which is relatively often good, and we can just step the pot down quite frequently. Well, bottom right, this will then 3-bet doesn't make any sense. We don't really have that great of a hand, but for that price. And we hit top pair and have the flush draw. Well, I think we can probably just check. Aim for checking because I mean he win 3-bet pre-flop, so I imagine that he could have a decently wide range. Oh, he has 2 pair. Well, I don't know if he's folding that anyway. He got free chance to realize the equity here. Yeah. And top right, I would have ISO raised. There was no raise, but I mean, the difference is that if I get to ISO raise, I might get the heads up, but there is decent chance that I can just c-bet the pot down, but once they got off raise, my hand is going to be a lot more about whatever I hit or not. And bottom right, we had really cheap price. I think we want to just bet here right away. People are probably not going to be too happy about betting that flop, so the villain has weaker flush, some 2 pair sets. They are quite often going to continue here, and top right we get the chance to 4-bet with the dry aces. And we are actually in pretty great shape, so not anymore. Well, not anymore. Top pair on bottom left. I don't know if this ace. Well, there is only one ace combinations, but I think probably good for us to be checking that turn. and I don't know if there is really any other option than check call. Check call on the turn that make really sense. Oh, he checks again. Sit out on the. I don't know if betting the river makes sense, but well, the ace king on the river. And I didn't bet the ace 4. Oh, that's quite, at least in my opinion, pretty nitty. Well, bottom right, it's 3-way, we only have the not flush draw, so, and king queen probably don't give us huge amount of fold equity, so I will go for the check, but they check, and we hit the gut shot as well, so I think I will go for the late C bet. Top left we have pretty decent draw with the backdoor flush draw. We don't have any showdown value, so I mean we still have 13 direct outs to straight, so I think we'll probably just argue about raising tier. Yep. Well, when he calls, does he have? So I would imagine pocket 9s, pocket 10s to be betting decently often, so maybe it makes sense to be shoving. Well, I think we still had decent equity here, but oh well. The villain only had king 10. Well, double gutshot, I suppose. On the flop. But yeah, that's probably hand we can mark and ask if that made, how much that made sense. Well, we have 8 high flush, so I think that we have to call the half pot on the bottom right, but it's not really Really spot we are happy about facing another bet. There was raise. It's 3-way on the table 4, but at the same time, I mean it's paired board pretty dry overall with the pair to deuces, so again I would imagine that it's less likely that the villains are going to have the trips here. And he had plain flush draw. And we have the aces flush draw, blocking some of the sets 2 pairs. And now we have the nuts. Only question is, do we get value? But yeah, if I bet like 450, it would be, can even make it a little bit, that's a bit over €4. So if he calls, we have less than pot size for the river, but he folds. Well, I think we could even bet a bit smaller in a way that when he doesn't raise the flop, I think the chances of set are going to be quite small, so there's no real danger on that side. We don't really have much here, but at the same time, when people check, I think their ranges tends to be quite capped, so I think it can still be quite out of profit. These sort of hands are kind of, I don't know, on the bottom right. We continue against the 3-bet, because we are still going to be hitting so rarely. So I'm not totally sure if that was open in the first place. Well, it was cut off, so should be fine, but as said, I'm not really sure about. Maybe we should still call that because it has decent connectivity anyway. And here on the bottom left, I don't know, maybe a bit optimistic to call that, because we are mainly playing for the hitting the set, but at the same time we are into position, so if we do hit the set, it can get pretty nice situations. Look at kings and blocking the aces. I think we can argue about 3-betting here. So I'm not really sure if we should be backing off though. And of course everyone calls. And now we probably can't be stacking off in 4-way. Without much. Unfortunately no second heart here. Oh, it's dry flop, but I think still we are 4-way, so chances of someone having 2-pair or something like that is probably. Oh, I had to zoom on once again. That's the problem of using the zoom. And this guy actually has the set here. So yeah, I 4-betted pre-flop with that. Ace king king and everyone 3 players called, and that's that situation. Well, we have one straight blocker. Let's try cheap one step play. Probably something we shouldn't be doing unless we assume that the villain is going to be quite capped here. But yeah, session so far has been quite crappy, I suppose. I mean, we were good shape in that one. Aces hand on the upper right and top left. Well, had fairly strong draw. And when the villain just called my raise, I think it should be decreasing. Enough of those full house combos when the turn paired. And we don't really improve to anything, but once he checks again, I think we could think about bluffing here against some better 1 and 2 pair hands. We don't really have much. Double suited on the bottom right, but that's pretty much everything. Everything good about that one. Well, let's take the flop if there is no 4-bet on the bottom left. And of course we don't hit anything. Well, it's going to be clear check fold. We don't really have much of a draw either. Maybe we could probably try to bet turn and maybe bet river, but well, top left I'm going to be 3-betting. And we get 4-betted. I suppose we still have to take the flop toad. It's going to be aces, but we have double suited hands, so. And this is one we have to stack off, but I think we want to just pot donk pot here. We might create a tiny bit of fold equity. And he didn't have the aces, it seems, but. And can't hit fucking anything. Double paired hand. You have the flush draw on the upper right, but it's also paired flop, so don't really like to play those. And we hit the bottom set. Could be problems. Well, now we have the watch. And he leads. I don't think we have any reason to be raising really. It doesn't really matter that the fourth spade comes, in my opinion. If he's basically saying that he has, well, I suppose he should be saying he has the full house when he leads the turn, really. Because the flush shouldn't really be that happy about the pairing board. But he was probably doing some sort of bluff or whatever. Or maybe he had the flush. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, there has been no frames dropping in the stream at least, so that's always a good thing. Table 3, we get the aces. And we flop the flush draw with it. Oh, well, let's spot. And well, table 4, I think this is the automatic 4-bet, 3-bet, I mean. At least if we don't have some sort of super nicked reads. And yeah, it's weird that they don't have the auto rebuy. Auto rebuy on the unibet on the guess games. Well, yeah, it's pretty premium. And still, I would say on the bottom right, so before bets, I suppose we have to stack of 10 when we are against the short stack. I think we don't have to spot here. I bet like 150. I don't think he should assume a lot of fold equity. Anyway, we have absolutely nothing, but it's at the same time shouldn't be that easy to hit board. Ace queen with the backdoor flush draw. Really much. Table 2. The other table 1, the big blind has been quite aggressive one, so I think we want to just open fold. Open fold that one. And not much of a hand on the bottom right, but I don't know, small blind min raising against the limp, so we get a pretty absurd price. Well, we have blockers to nuts on the bottom right, but I don't know, we have the ace-10 anyway, so I'm just wondering if we get better hands to fold anyway if we bet. I think we can size it a bit smaller here, at least. It was said to me that it's plausible line in the three-bet box to size a bit smaller these paired boards. And top left we have the ace jack plus the nut flush draw with the king, so suppose we are just going to be raising here. And the question is there value in bottom left to bet? I don't know. Well, he did the betting for me. Just a bit worried that I bet and will lane shove and then he's repping like pocket nines or quads type of hand pretty much. But he actually value bet, I suppose, the queens. So maybe we were, or I were overly worried about boogies in the closet, so to say. Well, on the bottom right we have queens with the nut flush draw, so I think we can take the flop. Well, there's probably not too much point in raising here, but we have the top set, so can't really fold either. Oh yeah, we have 10 outs for euros, so like 13%. It's quite close to spot odds view, and we might have some implied. So I think once this guy calls, then can call again, but or it's pretty close probably. But against this guy alone, I think he always has the flush, so he couldn't be calling. But once this guy called, I think calling is reasonable, assuming that we have some implied with the remaining. So yeah, if we have like with the 10 outs, we have around 22%, and it's 4.3. So yeah, we don't quite get the direct spot odds, but it's actually pretty close. This guy is donk betting once again. Well, I'm not going to continue. They're blocking the pocket 8s obviously, but it's 4-way and they can definitely have the 3 X's. No, he still had the pocket H. This guy has pocket 3s. Quite funny. Quite funny. At least for me, outside of the upper right, we have double pair. But it's rainbow one. I'm not sure if we want to be. And it's also UTG opening, so maybe we want to just take the passive route. Well, seems like on the bottom right, both of these players have the straight probably. This guy had just 7-5, but he also had the top set, so understandable. Understandable. Raise. I mean, with only the 7-5, I think it would be pretty bad, because when this guy, I think he was it 3 or 4 way pot? And so it was 4 way pot, so when he pots the flop, I think he's having really sort of capped, or not capped, but extremely tight range, basically. Queen then 8-4. We are really deep as well, so I don't really. We could probably defend that hand. I think we were a good player, but probably best that I don't get into any crazy spots. Or at least try to avoid. Get great price. I suppose we can defend, but upper right, but it's going to be really hard to flop something we are happy about, because this is so low. It's usually going to be some sort of bottom end wrap at the best, unless we hit something like flop the full house or something. I mean, even if we hit like 4-4-10 or something, it's not like we have such a great hand, so I'm not really sure about if we want to even defend that. Or of course, if we hit basically the trips, it's going to be relatively strong hand, but I mean, if we do start to get action, it's quite quickly not such a strong great hand. Double suited kings, I think we this is short stack player as well. Well, I think we probably have to call against with the double suited kings, and we get the high flop, so absolutely no draws. So that was easy flop fold on the flop 10. I mean, if it wasn't double suited, I would have folded right away pre-flop. 9-9-8 jack against single player. Of course, we are blocking our draw outs a little bit if he happens to have the strikes, but well, we can't get any bigger wrap than on the bottom left. Suppose, well, actually we can have the 10x, but we have a big wrap anyway, or well, wrap anyway. I kind of misread that I have king, queen, 8, 9. Now we have the flush draw as well. I think we probably want to just maybe just put it here. I mean, when he just calls the flop, I would imagine that he often doesn't have jack 10 or sets. Or sometimes have them, but like jack 10, but or maybe, well, pocket 3 should be rare anyway, so. And we hit the second nuts on the river, it's backdoor flush, and we have 3 of that, so I think we just, if we don't call this one, we are basically folding anything, everything. But raising doesn't really make any sense when he donk bets, and he was bluffing. We had the straight, I should have probably bet the turn on the bottom right, but let's bet the river once we didn't. This guy once again 3-betting. And we don't really flop that much. I suppose with the top pair and gutshot. Call, unfortunately we hit the diamond 10, so it's not quite the nuts. We don't really have any outs if the villain happens to have the now the board pairs as well. Well, I think we just have to be check folding probably. We have a nice blocker at this point if the villain bets, I suppose, with the ace, but I mean, he could have some jack 10 or that type of hand, so it's not like he's only repping ace, jack or aces, I think. Of course, I don't know, like, if we think about what sort of hand we should be calling, I think it doesn't really matter that much if we have the flush at this point, because the villain is repping that he has the full house or quads, basically, or, well, straight flush. I suppose blocking that can be a little bit valuable, but what was the table? Well, I think if we have any jack X hands, that would be really great for bluff catching, because then we are blocking those ace jacks, jack 10, jack 9 type of hands. That should probably be the main hand. So we could have, for example, let's think about what I had, like some sort of king, queen, jack. Well, jack 10 is going to be the full house. It's actually quite hard maybe to have some sort of king, queen, jack. Maybe would make some sense, or something like that. Because it's quite hard to be calling the flop with the plain jack X, I suppose. Well, jack X with the flush draw. But yeah, I think if we have like ace jack here, it's also pretty decent spot to be just checking, because most of my range is not going to be that strong here, I suppose. So just to balance that out. So even with the ace jack, well, I suppose we assume that the villain is going to stack off with the weaker full houses we can, because we are then plugging the aces, so it's basically the second nut. Well, not second nuts when there is the straight flush also, so I don't know, maybe we should be just check calling the ace jack as well. Well, double suited, we get great price on the bottom right, so let's try to get into some sort of problems with small pocket pair. And we hit pretty nice, gets no action, but well, I don't know if we should be unhappy about that really. Around a gazillion bad turn cards here. But the current plan is, because I have that masterclass on the JJ Nandy's Omaha thing, so 3 months here, so it's going to start 1 week from now. So I will probably have the 1 month for Omaha focus heavily, and probably less about SNGs and MTTs. Just take as much value from that masterclass as possible. Jack 9 10 bottom left, nice ones, but 3 kind of lets down the hand. Big blind 3 betting would have been nice. 4-way pot, we only have the guts of backdoor flush draw, so let's see if we get return we get, but that's not a good one. So unless we get the free river and hit the ace or 3, we are going to lose most likely. have king, queen, jack, so I think this is pretty clear check call on the table 2, but that's not the turn we hoped for. So I will be just check folding here. We still have 2 pairs, so I don't think bluffing really makes sense. And bottom left, I don't see too much point in raising. We are really deep as well. And with the 7-5, there is the possibility that he has bigger one. But once he checks, I think we have kind of a mandatory value bet. And I think if I bet that 3-4 of the quarter, there is like if he has decent flush, he might be calling anyway. Or I don't know if his calling range is going to be changing much compared to like if we bet half pot or 3/4. If I pot, it might start to be more a full house category on the calling, or not flush maybe. I would imagine that we might get like medium flushes to call still here. Well, that would have been nice flop for the ace king deuce deuce, at least for seemingly nice. With kings on the bottom right. Pretty dry ones, but yeah, we can call or raise against the limp. I don't think 3-betting makes too much sense. We do get the not flush draw with the pocket kings, and we actually get the gutshot, not gutshot as well. So, and now we are also blocking the nuts. I would kind of want to just pot here because we are blocking the nuts and we still have the nut flush draw, so we are never drawing dead. And it should be hard for him to have the king 10, so let's pull the trigger. Nice rundown on the table 2. Much of a flop though, but I often wonder if there is any sense in betting, but he donks bet, so yeah, we don't have the backdoor flush draw either, so I suppose we have to let go of that one. Ace Jack 6-6, well, not sure. Because it's going to be like 4-way really easily, and then the question is how much value the pocket sixes really have. I think on the top right we could think about some sort of float play. Or I'm going to be betting if he checks. I think I will try to bet again here. We don't have any showdown value, but he'll have some outs. That's it. No, absolutely no issue if he happens to raise, because we don't really have much of equity anyway. Aces with the not flush draw, but it's 3-way, so I think we can probably start by checking. Oops, check. I wonder if betting small here would make some sense. Or should we just check back again? Or check again? They check again. I would imagine that they shouldn't have the king X at least. So let's try to value bet the river. Absolutely no draws completing either. King, queen, king, queen. This guy is short stack, so I wonder. And we also have small short stacks behind, so I was wondering if 3-bet stacking off would make sense here. I wouldn't do this with normal stack depth, but when we have this sort of a stack, and he has the aces, of course. And no luck. No luck here. Aces, of course. Yeah, I don't know. He in the previous hand he was limp calling from the small big button unopened, so maybe we should just assume that he has aces really often when he actually raises. I don't know. is 349, but we have this acro small blind, so let's just open fold. On the bottom left, if we didn't have the shooted tier, we could just open fold as well. But I think that should be good enough. Well, no 3-bet at least from the bottom. And we flopped the nuts. And we lay snap fold. It's the problem of hitting text that strongly. I don't know, top left, do we want to just check back? We definitely don't want to be facing check raise at least, so I think at least. And of course he has queen 5 tier. That's the way with those hands pretty much. He's king. Well, if he 3-bets, I think we can just 4-bet. Hope he doesn't have the red aces once again. Or I don't know if this guy have had the aces anyway, but he has been 3-betting quite frequently, so. What's on the table for? Well, good luck in getting value. We'll then just call on the top left, so I would think that our hand is going to be good decently often on the turn. Block the pocket nines as well, so I don't know, maybe even checking. They could have the straight, so maybe they continue with that, who knows. I mean, even if we check the turn, they will check behind really often, and it's going to be pretty hard to get value unless they happen like queen comes on the river and someone has pocket queens or something. Something we might get the big pot just from the river action, but outside of those scenarios it's going to be, I think we just have to bet here and hope that somehow someone has something. Or maybe they overplay straight here or something like that. Or flush draw. Deuce 5-5. Well, I think we still want to ice a race. That scenario at least. And we can probably just fold. Hoping that he folds, obviously. But he doesn't, and he can definitely have like 8-9, 8 check, even sets from the flop, so we are just giving up here. He had a jack 10, so king 10, so some straight draw with the top pair, I think. Well, I suppose I will be folding here. A lot easier for the villain has to have the random king x this game compared to Hold'em. Seems like once he's betting, it's going to be pot. The bottom left. The bottom right, we have some straight potential and plus potential with the pair. Now I'm hoping we get the chance to check raise. This is the guy he has been, as previous, the player hasn't changed, he was the donk betting guy. And he shouldn't basically have the kings unless it's some sort of kings with a spade or something, I would imagine. Phew, he didn't have the queen 10, luckily. Nice double up here. Rainbow aces. This guy once again limping. Now let's go for protection bet here. Protection slash value. If they raise, I just believe they have the hand and fold. Not now, it's going to be pretty much impossible to fold, but I don't think there is point in raising really. Maybe he could be bet calling with some weaker hands, but no, I don't know. That was well. Oh, jeez. That was brain screw up. Was thinking about this other hand. Do I want to stack off tier? Stack off tier because, I mean, if he has the aces, we are playing with 3 cards. 3 cards here. Maybe I should be stacking off, assuming that he has the aces that often, but I mean, I don't remember this guy 3-betting, and he did 3-bet, so then I somehow changed to this table, and I don't know. Maybe some sort of misclick or misthinking, whatever. But I was planning to just call that bet. Luckily he didn't have the quads at least. These upper right spots, I often wonder if it makes sense to be betting here. These somewhat weaker flushes. You can work as thin values plus protection against some 2 pair sets. So once the flop goes checked, you shouldn't. Well, yeah, it was rainbow flops, monotone flops, so there can be sets as well. And we have the bottom set. I haven't seen check raising so far from this guy. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way for the board to develop. On the upper left we have pocket tens, which has some value, and then we had the flush draw as well. Now the flush draw is kind of meaningless. I don't see any point in betting really. And yeah, I think he can have so many bigger pocket pairs. I can also have kings, queens, jacks. Sometimes 6x, I suppose. Not sure if on the bottom left if this guy is capable of folding anything, but and if he's calling way too wide or total air, we are kind of value betting, but he might be often then bluffing, so nine high flush draw in 4-way, but dream scenario. Well, it's easy to play, just don't continue pretty much. I mean, it's kind of a nicer situation compared to like having the second nut flush draw here or something. And we have the practical nuts on the bottom left. But yeah, I think this bottom left table Django guy is pretty much the one of the best possible opponents in overall, that when he plays so passive pre-flop and somewhat passive post-flop, he allows to basically everyone else to dictate the pot sizes. Pot size is quite a lot, especially pre-flop, limping almost all the time. And yeah, I think at this point, when we have seen a lot more hands from this opponent, I would not have been 3-betting those thinking queen earlier. Then he was like 40 big blind deep. Because he haven't really been, he might be just raising aces even. Maybe nothing else. Great price, but not the hand to get into four-way pot. Nine, 10, 8, 6 double suited. I think we can 3-bet that one. And top right. Well, let's just take the cheap call possibility. Both of them calling. Of course we can rep the aces, but well, let's try. We are blocking some of the straight wraps as well. We probably should have a lot of fold equity here, but well, that is actually pretty nice, unless he has ace-5 pretty much. What the hell? Snap calls with 8, 9, 9, 7. Okay. Okay, that's the way. Well, I think my reasoning was reasonable, but yeah, I have no idea what that guy is thinking here. Of course, now he has bottom set. Jesus. Oh, well. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, at least now we know that don't bluff this guy. Flop the nut on the table 4. Yeah. I just raise here. Well, once he checks, I think we have the best hand. I'm just a bit worried that if I bet the turn, that maybe we get raised here. Well, I suppose we are going to just well, let's just put Jack 8-7-4. Was drawing thin. Yeah, I don't know about maybe my idea with in the three-way pot was purely overall, but that call down was quite somewhat funny in my opinion. Or maybe it was even good, who knows. Seems pretty wild. So, of course, if I have the aces that I'm repping pretty much here, he's going to be drawing completely dead, but if I actually have some sort of wrap or something, his pocket nines has actually, of course he's blocking those wrap hands, but yeah, I was assuming that when I shove the turn that I basically get him to fold huge amount of hands unless he had something like ace, AX maybe, plus draws, and straight draws would be pretty much folding here, but apparently not. Maybe he calls with, like, if he's blocking the aces here. I mean, one of the good things is that I don't, well, 9-8 will be blocking some of the straight wraps, but I'm not blocking flush draws from the villain or absolutely heavily the straight draws either, so. And he only had 1/3 of the pot, so that's one of the reasons why he doesn't fold here, but or he's just complete calling machine, who knows. But yeah, I don't think we should be trying to make big bluffs against that guy. No jack, we only have open-ended straight draw, so let's check and see if we get free turn, but it's not exactly free. Runner, full house. At the bottom right for this current bottom guy. Did he actually have any? Basically, at the ace queen with the backdoor flush draw. So should be easy fold on the flop at least. Unfortunately, no suited to ace on the upper right, so won't get involved. Jack 10. Once he checks. Problem is that there is flush and straight possibilities, so probably it's better to just check back here. We only have bottom pair. Well, cut shot as well. Totally guarded on the top left. Oh, this was classical misread. That wasn't big blind, but open raise, but well, went nicely. No small blind on the play, so. Oh, I don't know if even if that hand make tiny bit of sense as 3-bets, but I wouldn't be usually doing when the 4 is, so if the 4 was like 8, then I think it's much more reasonable one. And currently we are around €35 down. Lost those, I think, 2 buy-ins on the early session in the 25, so, and then we had that one big pot a tiny bit of time ago. Six, 5, 4, 3. Well, I think it's open raisable. So this guy is going to be limping, that's for sure. Oh, he raises. Well, I think it's so low that I don't really to get involved. We still have 3 players behind as well. And we get the free flop with the garbage and get the nice straight draw. Going to continue with that one. Aces. Does anyone 3-bet? Doesn't look like that. We get family pot. Okay. That was the end of that hand, most likely for me. Okay, 10s double shooted. Well, of course, we only have the 10 high double shooted, so we hit the low end straight and the flush drawn. Well, once it goes check check, we pretty much should have the best hand here. That was a bit of a nasty river, but I don't think it's that likely that we are going to be behind anyway. But there was the busted flush draw possibility, so I think it's hard to get weaker hand to call by betting, so check call is perhaps the most sensible option. I think I'm going to 3-bet on the position with bottom left. And we hit pretty decent, block the pocket jacks as well. And I wonder if just calling, we are pretty deep with the, if I raise here and the lanes behind are willing to continue, I think it might be a bit tricky. Well, for those completed, but I mean, it shouldn't be huge danger, I suppose, so I think we are mainly losing the pocket jacks, I would imagine, so probably betting for protection against any sort of high-end wrap is going to be the best option. We don't really want to give like king queen 10 free revert here. Well, we checked on the top left, which was not really intentional, but once we do check, we probably want to just try to check the showdown. We have the decent showdown value here. Oh yeah, I think that hand is also noteworthy. I'm not totally sure. I mean, I think pre-flop 3-bet is fine, and I don't think we want to be raising the flop because we are so deep, especially against this low guy. So let's take the images from every street meaningful situation, so we can get and create a topic about the hand. Have to play with these images because of no hand histories or no hand histories that could be imported to database, unfortunately. It would be nice if they added those delayed hand histories as well, but probably never happening. Not flush on the top left, unfortunately we do block the second, not flush. And we have the nuts on the bottom right. Not sure about sizing though, but let's go with the 420. Maybe he rolls with some sort of pair. He's thinking for a long while. And table 1 I raise with the aces against the busy guy, and he actually 3-bets, so really small toe, so we are going to be 4-betting. And we get small enough stack to pot ratio that we can just shove pretty much any flop. Let him decide what he wants to do. Bottom left we have top two backdoor flush draws, but I think checking might be the most reasonable option because you definitely don't want to get raised here. Now we have relatively strong hand. I can't fold against this guy, definitely. Let's hope that he doesn't have the... Oh, I have the zoom on, sorry. And he had 3 high flush. Oh yeah, this was actually... Forgot the zoom once again. Let's see it through here. So I open raise, button calls, big blind calls. Of course, he doesn't fold anything. I decided to check the flop because I truly don't want to get raised here with the second nut flush draw, top 2, and also the backdoor flush draw. I just check. Button bets really small, so I don't really think like what I should be thinking about this. I don't think he has straight, probably because he would likely bet bigger anyway. So maybe, I don't know, 2 pair king queen, something like that. Something like that. So that this guy calls, I obviously call. And now he bets the pot. Easy guy. I have the second, well, third nuts, I suppose. Obviously not folding. Do we get call from weaker flush? Oh. I call here, we are again really deep against this guy, so if the button happens to raise here, I think we can fold. We can fold at that point. But he folds, so we are obviously stacking any flop, any river against this guy with the €5 behind. But yeah, at the beginning I would have c-bet that flop probably pretty happily, but it's really not such a great spot when there is the straight possibility, and we don't really have that many nutty outs anyway, so meaning that we are not really happy to get raised. On the top right we have top 2, back flush draw and open ender. Just 9 high flush on the bottom left, so I would have probably just checked. I think check call might be the best option on the, because there is like any or most of the flopped draws are not completed here, but I can't fold against that small of a bet on the bottom left probably. We also have the actually the straight flush. I think I call again here with the idea to bluff catch and hope we hit that one or he shuts down. Now he unfortunately shuts down. Now he should have potted. But yeah, I think we want to bet big here, because if he has big flush, he's probably going to be calling. I think I actually go pot. Wow, what the hell is going on? Ah, well, I mean, I love that play, but what the hell is going on? Jesus. That's weirdest shit I have probably ever seen on the Omaha. I was thinking that like if it doesn't really look like I have the nut flush, because I just called here twice. So if he has some sort of queen high king high flush, I was thinking that he probably calls off both sides pretty much always, but once he goes with pocket, or what did he have, straight or something, what he actually had, pocket 10 snap calls. Of course, easy call. Easy call. Who wouldn't make that play? Have to take image of that hand. Weird shit going on. It's 9-8-8. King, queen, jack, we are definitely flatting. bit too small flop. Now the question is, wonder if we also have the backdoor flush draw, so I'm wondering if we want to start betting here. Of course, pocket tens would be way better blockers, but both of them calls. Am I once again going to spew here heavily? I think I will go. I'm wrapping the straight here. 4 doesn't really change anything, so let's wrap the jack 10, which we are blocking, and we still have the not out 10 if they call, which we actually get. We have the super uber nuts. Unfortunately, it can't be king high, but hopefully he doesn't bet, because that kind of looks like he has the same hand 10. Yeah, I think we are just potting here. I mean, when he calls here, well, he might have some pocket nines maybe or something like that, but I mean, pocket nines are probably not calling usually, even if I size it way smaller. So let's hope that he has the jack or 10 high straight or something and decides to hero here. I showed earlier against this sit out guy that I'm capable of making big plays, so that is pretty much the dream scenario. And he actually has the second nut jack 10 here, which I were repping here. Well, that's why it's good to have some outs. But yeah, he probably played that really good, because especially when seeing that I reps that pocket aces in 3-way pot earlier, so I just got. But yeah, if he had called the turn, I think I would have been given up at that point, because it looks like he has at the weakest like pocket nines, but probably some straight pretty much always. But once I bet the half pot on the flop, I don't think that he can have some 2 pairs and so on at that point. But yeah, that was really nice. Really nice river card. Actually, that is again, and I should probably mark and ask from some people, was that just huge spew and nice luck box, or it makes some sense? And the replayer is not working. Well, now we get is queen king. Well, I'm just going to fold it here. I don't know if calling that would make any sense, but and top right we have big set and flush draw. And he has the top set. Flush draw was alive, but not too many outs, obviously, with me having the three spades and him having 1, so well, ace queen jack double suited deuce is of course bit small, but I mean it's still a pretty nice hand. Did he fold here? I suppose. Well, calling on the table for. Oh, I have the two once again on. For real. I will remember that some point maybe. Bottom 2 on the table 2. Wouldn't mind if he just folds. On the bottom right we have not got shot with the not flush draw, so I think we could even just raise here. I mean, we have so many nutty outs. Yeah, I think we are right. I mean, we don't raise again this one. It's like we pretty much don't have the semi-bluffing range for raising. Not much on the bottom right, but we still have the gut shot nuts and well, backdoor flush draw blocking it a little bit. Of course, easy c-bet anyway. And upper right, not going to c-bet against two people. We don't get even the chance to c-bet. I'll have to call against the 3-bet on the table 1. Not exactly what I was looking for. Well, good thing is that it's easy decision. Guy raising basically wrapping a high flush or straight flush. Nine 5 on the upper right. I suppose I could have actually, or should have laid out. Laid out on the flop. Nice wrap on the upper right. On the top left it's kind of interesting because we are so deep that I just wonder that do we want to be 3 or 4 betting like hand like this, for example? And this guy once again potting. We don't really have much potential with this hand, so I think it's best to just fold right away. Of course, one thing about when we are deeper is that, or which I should try to take into account, is the nut components, because I would imagine that the deeper we are, the less we want to play hands which doesn't have the nut component. Because we don't want to get like in bloated pot situations with like second nut flush draws that often and so on. And he calls, we don't have anything, so maybe that would have been actually just best to. My strategy in heads up is going to be just to see bet pretty heavily, as has been probably visible. It's paired board here, we'll lane pots, it's in three-way pots, so I'm not going to continue with it. It's just a draw. But yeah, on the upper left that should probably be just hands to check fold right away on the flop. It's quite coordinated, so I don't know if we get enough fold equity. Seems like no one raising on the table 4, so we are not getting that big of a pot pre-flop. But it's quite safe looking. And he raises. Well, I mean, he can have the deuces or pocket sevens, so I'm just wondering these in general, that how often. And he continues, we don't really know. If fizzy play, maybe we should be just folding flop or can stack off. In queen 10-10, but we don't really have anything outside of the few possible outs. Backdoor straight draw. And one thing about just calling here on the bottom right is that forgot the zoom once again, is that if he's just making some sort of move, he might shut down on the turn. So probably don't face the bet on the turn like every time. This guy open raising once again. Does he have the aces? I suppose we can just stack off if he has. And we are SPR2, so we actually have such a strong hand that sizing it smaller might make sense. I mean, we have monster wrap plus flush draw plus top pair. We kind of want to keep him in the pot if possible. No idea how much I have got from this guy. So this time he actually had bottom 2, so was more of a setup, I suppose. What sort of hand? Well, not a strong hand though, so he should have just open folded. Ace king 9 8. Not again. That is not such a great hand either. And he 3-bets. We have to call. We get pair plus not flush draw, so can't really be folding. Hopefully he doesn't have the aces at least. Well, we didn't have many outs when he had the 9 and queen as well. But yeah, I don't think there is any way to get away with that shallow stack. King, jack. We are blocking the not straight, I mean, and we have the top set. Yeah, in the upper left, if I 4-bet, it's going to be €9. Yeah, we get so much in that I think we have to. I think we have to 4-bet. I mean, if he calls, it's going to be €18. So it's SPR2 pretty much. And we have double gutshot backdoor flush draw here, so. Well, let's hope for the best. I don't mind if he folds really. And jack flush draw. We hit the straight, but doesn't matter. Yep. Annoying side of the Omaha. But yeah, I think it was the correct way to play it. Just pretty much perfect flop for the middle lane. Pretty much perfect flop. But yeah, I also had the double gutshot, so with the aces, so there is absolutely no way for me to not pot and stack off here. I think. But yeah, what Kuiperi was, I think he was saying at some point was that if you get SPR4 or less by 4-betting, you should be pretty much 4-betting the aces, so. And those weren't really totally crappy ones, I suppose, so. Yeah, just don't like those situations when they go like that, but obviously Lane is rarely going to be hitting that strong. It was really close to perfect one. Really close to perfect one overall. Top 2 and flush draw. So unfortunately my straight wasn't out anymore. Like here in the bottom left, if this guy 3-bets, I'm just going to be calling because it's going to be Ace S10. We are plugging the straight, but I don't know if I want to. So we have the ace of spade as well, so well, see what happens. I mean, again, this is kind of a perfect bluffing hand, because if the flush completes, we can actually think about repping the nut flush as well, so I don't know, that might be a bit spooky. And we have the ace 10, so we are actually drawing for the nut straight as well, so I think it's really close to perfect, and overall be bluffing or semi-bluffing, well, almost bluffing, I suppose. One player folds on the table 2, other one doesn't, and well, I'm just going to put, there is still wrap possibility, so let's not give cheap chances. Queen 10 h7. We can probably defend it here. No. Was trying to see bet on the top right, but that failed by misclicking. 10, 9, 6, but the problem is that we only have the 9 high flush draws here, so and now we are probably losing, at least at that point. Seven I'm going to see, but if they raise, I think we can probably just fold, because it can be fairly easily in really bad shape. Just checking on the bottom right, we are 4-way pot, so but if they now check, we can bet. And if they actually raise, I'm just going to be throwing my hand away. It's 4-way, so if they check raise, they probably just simply have the nut plus period. Or good chunk of the time at least. And the river pairs, so now we are just hoping that he checks, so we can check behind. Unfortunately it paired. We could have probably got one more street here on the blank river. Well, I think bottom left this guy is the Rex, so I don't know. Playing against him heads up is probably not something to. Well, this guy came back, one more player came here. Well, we don't have the flush blocker and my image is pretty maniac probably, so I think I'm just going to be checking here. It's interesting when the pair board, so now we can also rep some full houses too. And we have 0 showdown value, so maybe it makes sense. But, what did he have? 497, 47, so yeah, he was actually blocking some of those full houses. Unfortunately, no 10 jack on the bottom left. And we get all in on the top left. So annoying, like these guys go totally crazy with total garbage and they just have to hit. Period. Oh well. Well, maybe we get rematched, so we are not as deep now. But, well, I think effective wise we are deeper, but. And we have the mega nuts. I suppose we could check here. Hope that he tries to attack or something against ACs. But once he has so little behind, I suppose we can just. Over here shouldn't really matter probably. If he has total air. Luckily he had the 9 and didn't hit the guards. So some justice here. Little bit too many tens. But let's see how long I played now. Close to 3 hours. Continue for a little while. Result wise, I'm not actually sure if we are in the profit, even if we have really deep stacks. To play 2 tables. 160. 979. 210 euro. Well, we are a little bit up, I think. Like 20 euros or something. Queen Jack 10-9 upper right, and it's kind of a small 3-bet, so I suppose we are taking the flop here. And now it's 3-way toe, but I don't know if we can. Well, against the short stack, definitely we can't be folding. And the pocket kings with the flush draw. One of the annoying things in this, I don't know if it's common in the cash game in general, but it's just the thing that, like, if you lose the pot, you would have to be thunders fast to rebuy to get the stack back into next hand. So for example, here on the top left, it would have been nice if I had the full stack against this wake and bake guy when I had that not full house. Would have been nice, but unfortunately not the case. Ace queen 3 deuce, well, 3-way. I don't know, maybe we should bet, or but now we kind of have to fold, I suppose. There's just not too many good scenarios in the future streets, so I think it might be best to just check fold. But yeah, this has been really swingy session, so at least so far from my sessions, pretty happy if we get even tiny bit profit. Bottom 2 on the top right, we could probably should have let out once again, but once there is spot and call, I'm just going to fold. He would have flopped the mid flush on the bottom left. Really great situation overall. But yeah, let's play next big blind. Ace king queen 4, we have the nut flush, but not really much else, so I think it's probably best to check and see what happens. We have the 3 straight, but it's not going to be that strong of a straight. And we can't really call the turn, I suppose. Check. Well, just fold. But yeah, one thing about in general when making those bits maybe a bit spoofy. So my bluff plays now and then is that you kind of get the feeling about what is working and what is not. So at least after asking from other people, this guy making really genius looking 3-bet size. And we flop the second nut. Hopefully no one has pocket tens. And yeah, with my image especially, I think we are just wanting to bet here right away. Now it's not quite the nuts anymore, but at the same time this has been quite fizzy will lane, so I think we should be pretty happy to continue. Yeah, I'm not absolutely thrilled, but I think this guy can have some straights, something like that as well. So Queen, Jesus. With fucking bullshit. Yep. He had 3 outs. 3 fucking outs. 3-bet total garbage. Oh yeah. Poker can be so great sometimes. Well. Absolute junk. Min 3-bet pre-flop. Then getting miracle turn. Well, we didn't get profit from this season. Oh yeah. Well. Well, not much down. I turn 20 euro. Bit over 20 euro. But that was quite a letdown as last hand, basically. But whatever, there is few interesting hands to post on the forums, and so thanks for watching, and maybe streaming again at some point of beginning of this week. But bye for now.